Hey everybody, welcome back to the Undercover Ape podcast. Today's episode is featuring my friend Rodger Harris. Rodger has his bachelor's and master's degree in theological studies. He's a very smart person, and we talk about smart things along with random things. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. Don't forget to go follow the Undercover Ape page on Instagram at Undercover Ape. You can go subscribe to the YouTube channel at Undercover Ape. You can email us at undercoverapepodcast. Email us at undercoverapepodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on Spotify. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Do whatever you got to do. And without further ado, I bring you Rodger Harris. All right, so I'm going to tell you a fun fact about myself because I didn't prepare a fun fact, just like an external fun fact.
All right.
So here's a fun fact about myself. Are you ready?
I'm super ready.
All right. So when I shower every day, right, before I dry off, I turn off the water, and I'm standing there naked, dripping with water, and I shake like a dog.
Wow.
Violently.
Okay.
My whole body.
What's the reason for that?
I don't remember when I started.
Is there something about the shake that you enjoy?
It feels nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like I kind of squat down a bit, not fully. I just kind of brace myself, get a nice flat
Trying to get a good
stance.
visual on this.
Yeah. So I get a nice flat stance, and I'm just...
Do other people see you do this, or is this just you?
No, I only shower alone. Normally, I don't let other people in.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so like...
Some people go that way?
Yeah, so like the mailman doesn't come in ever.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah. You never tried that?
No, not yet.
It's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Dang. You got a delivery.
I thought you were going to go a different route, because are you a peer in the shower? Do you ever do that?
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Never once?
No, I have.
Yeah.
I have, and I do sometimes.
It saves water, you know.
Yeah, that's what I hear. I religiously try not to.
Why religiously?
Because, so I had a one of the old showers that I used to have, right? I didn't have it, but the house did. Okay. And the drain would be full of hair, right? Because we lived with like 4 people. We shared a bathroom with 4 people at the time.
Okay.
And so the drain was always full of hair, and the water would come up like above my ankles.
Oh.
So I trained
you.
Yeah, I trained myself not to pee in the shower. And I used to pee in the shower before that.
It's
and then
freeing.
I was just like, I'm not going to stand in my own piss when I'm showering.
But you don't have that problem anymore, right?
No, I don't have the problem anymore. But now I just pee. I pee the second I'm done with showering.
Ooh, you don't do before.
No, I do before, but no matter what, you're going to have to pee afterwards. Like your body with water just...
That's not how I go.
It entices pee.
Maybe I'm dehydrated. I don't know.
Well, you pee in the shower.
Oh, so good point.
So
no, but okay. So I will say this: my wife does not like it when I pee in the shower.
Dang.
So I have to keep that incognito.
And she doesn't pee in the shower?
No. I mean,
sure?
even if I don't know. She says no. That's for the record.
Right. Okay. We'll strike that on the record.
Yeah. But so I try not to, especially when she's there.
Yeah, naturally.
And so I try to go beforehand, and I don't have to go after. Yeah, I don't know. Are you drinking the water from the shower head?
No.
Okay.
No, that's too much chlorine in there for me.
Yeah.
Do you drink tap water? Are you a tap water person?
Yeah, that's all we do. Well,
really?
Actually, no. Now we're rich. Now we have one of those refrigerators with the.
Oh, that's right.
I
do remember that.
Yeah. Didn't have that before.
Yeah, those are nice.
They are. Yeah. So I don't know. Is that considered tap water? I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah. No, yeah.
It's kind of a mixture.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture.
It's not beneath me, that's for sure.
Right. And it's not beneath me either. A refrigerator filter is not beneath me, Because I think they have a filter in the fridge, right? It's not just taken...
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I couldn't tell me either.
You do use a Brita, though. I filled it up when I got here.
Yeah, so we have a Brita, but we also have 4 people we live with. So we didn't want to buy like a bunch of water bottles.
Yeah.
And here's my thing about tap water, right? So where I grew up, we had a little community in these little mountains in our hometown.
Mountains where? I actually don't know where you're from.
Okay, so I'm from a town called Santa Clarita. It's about 20 miles north of Los Angeles City, like downtown LA or Hollywood. But it's LA County. So we're still LA County, but we're the furthest north or farthest north, right? Because you're talking distance, so it'd be far.
I actually don't know the difference.
Oh, yeah, so
you're educating me.
So far is of actual distance, and further is of some metaphor.
Learning something every day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we're from the last area of Los Angeles County, right before you go on the Grapevine to get to Bakersfield, to go up north.
None of this.
None of that makes sense.
Back to your tap water.
I grew up on the east side of that, or part of me did, in a town called Saugus, and it had a lot of land and stuff when you get deep in it. But there was like these mobile homes, and then you had this water, we'd get a water tower, and we'd get the water from a well.
Okay, yeah.
And then the wells started kind of drying up a bit because of droughts.
Oh yeah, it doesn't rain much here.
Yeah, and then it just kind of started tasting like chlorine, and
from it drying up.
I don't know what they're doing. I think they were trying to find like as much water as possible, but it wasn't clean per se, and so they're adding more chemicals into it to try to clean it for us to use. But so it started tasting like chlorine, and we were like, nah.
Not about that.
Yeah, so we started buying water bottles. Yeah.
So we grew up on a well. I grew up in South Carolina, like in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And so that's all we had for the longest time.
But
I remember I lost a couple of friends who wouldn't come over to my house anymore because they said that our water smelled like eggs.
Really?
And they weren't able to brush their teeth when they came over. So I lost a friend named Kyle. Yeah, never saw him again.
Fuck you, Kyle.
Fuck you, Kyle.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking Kyle. Dang.
So yeah, that's my tap water story. So
so like people give me shit. People give me shit for not drinking tap water.
Oh yeah.
But it's bad for you, dude. And then all that Flint, Michigan stuff started happening, and then now they're saying that that's just every city's sewage system, unless you're one in like a city in the last decade that was put together.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah, you're going to convince me to stop drinking my tap water.
No, drink your tap water.
No, I don't want to die.
You're fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. Oh, I'm fine. You're not fine.
Yeah, I'm not fine, but you are.
Right, cool. Good
all right, so real quick, let's give a shout out to our sponsor. So I have 3 sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah, which is crazy because we're still new. So the one that's sponsoring today's episode is called Confetti Coffin.
Confetti Coffin. What do they do?
So I'm going to tell you right now.
All right, I want to know.
All right. Confetti Coffin, where dying doesn't have to be sad. Do you or someone you know plan on dying soon? If so, don't choose a traditional dreary and depressing casket to be buried in. Choose a confetti coffin. Confetti Coffin designs fun, colorful, and unique coffins so you can be buried the way that you want. Why not bring the party with you when you arrive in heaven above or hell below? Confetti Coffin offers themes depending on what your favorite holidays are. Are you a fan of the 4th of July? Well, if you are, Confetti Coffin will make sure you get buried with live fireworks that are hooked up to a timer that is set to go off every year on the 4th of July. That's a fucking deal.
This is real.
Yeah, this is Confetti Coffin. So are you a fan of Christmas? Well, maybe every year Santa will come down your coffin chimney and deliver some special presents. These designs are not just limited to holidays. They can be any theme or style that you want. You can even design your own personal coffin with the folks over at Confetti Coffin to ensure that you will be buried in a casket that you want. Confetti Coffin offers a risk-free trial period. Spend a few nights with your coffin, and if you're not sure it's exactly what you want, they'll give you a full refund, no questions asked. Confetti Coffin also offers a rolling promotion that allows your family to get a full refund after you're already buried if you can come back as a ghost and somehow explain that you are unsatisfied with this product.
Wow.
Yeah, it's intense.
Is that it?
Yeah. So they have a special offer for our listeners of the podcast. So you could go over to Confetti Coffin and use promo code APE to see more exclusive deals. Once again, that's promo code APE. Be the life of your non-living party with Confetti Coffin.
Wow. I like the guarantee there.
Yeah, right?
Kind of makes me want to cheat death, like die and then figure out a way to get my money back.
To come back and get your money back. They might confiscate the coffin, though. That's a defective one, maybe.
Yeah, could be worth it.
Yeah, it might be worth it. But yeah, can you believe that's a real company?
Yeah, that's wild, man.
It's nuts.
And they reached out to you. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, I kind of reached out to them because once I heard what they were about, I was just like, let me in.
First.
Let me in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got.
Let me know when their stock market comes up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
they're about to go public.
All right.
We're keeping it hush-hush, though, so.
You guys are the first to know.
Mm-hmm. I might have to edit that out because they'll accuse me of market manipulating. And I'll go to prison like the rest of them. Yeah, so that was our first sponsor, actually, which is very nice to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, which actually leads me into one of my first questions for you, Rodger.
Ooh, questions.
All right,
Let's do questions.
So obviously Confetti Coffin. All right. So do you believe in ghosts?
Do I believe in ghosts?
And I'm not talking about like the religious kind of ghosts, right? I'm talking about just you go into an old psych ward and there's still psych ward people haunting around.
I mean, I have no experiences. I mean, I will probably say confidently no.
No?
I don't believe in them. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the shows.
Okay.
They're not, obviously, it's hard to convince you when you have a show.
Yeah, and then a chair just comes flying around from the back of the camera.
There's either nothing going on in the show and everybody's just scared at night,
right,
or it's so realistic that you're like, somebody's tampering.
Yeah.
And I've never been into a psych ward.
Yeah.
Ever? No.
Yeah, neither have I.
Except for when I was admitted. Other than that.
Well, the few times. We don't have to get into that though. Yeah. Yeah, I only believe in ghosts like when I have to.
Wait, when would you have to?
Like when I'm home alone and I hear a scary noise.
Okay.
And then my mind starts fucking with me and I'm like, oh man.
So would you have a routine that you go to?
No, I don't have a routine per se. I just kind of get scared and then I'm like, no, they're not real. And then I'm like, but what if?
What if they are?
Yeah. And then I'm convinced in that moment that they're real.
It's really funny. When I was a kid, I guess it would work with ghosts too, and I probably did believe it at some point. I don't know if they were ghosts, but definitely if there was like somebody. If I'm home alone, when I was a kid, I had a fear that somebody was in the house with me.
Just a person.
A person. Though. It could be a ghost, a demon maybe, or a burglar. And I would always loudly brag about how big I had a gun I was holding on me.
Ooh.
So I'd get out of the shower. That's the most vulnerable, right? You're naked.
Shake off.
Yeah, that's what you do. That's nice. I never did that. But you'd get out and you're kind of vulnerable. And you'd open the door and it's just dark. So I'd always be like, man, I'm really glad I have this 45 caliber pistol on me and I know how to use it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if that didn't work, I'd talk about how good I was at karate.
So you would be home alone as a kid and you would get out of the shower and immediately just exclaim, boy, am I glad I have this 45 on me.
Yeah, actually, I don't think there wasn't a time I didn't
really
do that until I was probably, I don't know, 15 maybe?
Wow.
14, I don't know. Once I was older, yeah.
You know what I'd be thinking if I was the robber, though?
What?
I'd be like, bitch, you're home alone. Who are you talking to? Like, I'd be hiding, and I'd be like, he doesn't know I'm here. Why is he saying this?
Yeah, I mean, when you're 8, you don't really think about that.
Yeah, you don't.
It helped comfort me, but then I would say that as I ran through the house and turned on all the lights. Don't know why I didn't turn them on before I showered.
Are you still a lights person, or are you scared of the dark? Crystal's scared of the dark. Like, if she's alone, she likes a little nightlight.
No, I'm not scared of the dark.
Nice.
Chanel is too, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I wonder what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's women.
Women.
Something about them.
Pussies. Yeah, okay. So are you a Moleskine user?
I was at one point,
okay.
And I was very hipster about it,
right.
for sure.
Yeah, as am I. And I need to confess something, right?
Okay.
This much is the only thing I've ever written in here. And you know what I do? I buy notebooks and I get excited. I'm like, okay, I need a notebook. I need to start writing things, right?
Okay.
I get excited. I get into it. I go and I buy a notebook and I go and sit down to write. And I'm like, I don't want to ruin these precious pages with some shit.
So what do you plan to do with them before you buy them?
Whatever. I just plan on writing more. Just like I need to write more, even if it's nothing. Even if it's like a summary about my day, I should be writing more because maybe I'll remember more.
But you never do.
I never do. And I sit down to write in my Moleskine, my $14 notebook. And then I'm like, no. I should gather my thoughts first on my computer and then translate everything once it's finalized because I'm not going to be scratching out lines on this precious notebook. And then I never do that because it's like, why am I going to write about my day twice?
Why do it twice? Yeah. Man, I should sell you Moleskines.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd make money off that.
Yeah, whoever sells Moleskines in San Diego, they've made a lot of money off of it.
Yeah, if you want to open a new business in San Diego.
Especially when I lived in Washington because I didn't have like any friends or anything. And it was just me and Crystal living there. And there was a period where like I wasn't working and she was working. Like the first 3 months there, right? 'Cause she just was able to transfer stores at Starbucks, and then I wasn't working with the company yet or anything. And so I was looking for a pizza delivery job, and we lived in downtown Olympia in Washington, the capital of Washington. We lived in like the downtown, but it's a small town feel to a downtown, right? So like our apartment complex was the largest building in the downtown city.
Yeah, I kind of know what that.
And it was like
that feels like
6 stories.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like compared to San Diego or LA.
It sounds kind of like a Charleston vibe.
Yeah. So they had parades like once a month for just local things, right?
That's cool.
No one knew what it was about. It was just local things, and all the same people are driving in different costumes, right?
Nice.
But it was fun. And they had a little Moleskine store, you know?
Oh, is this the start?
That was the start of it. And I was like, okay, well, I have no one here. I'm going to start writing. And then...
You never did.
I never did.
You just have... How many Moleskines do you think you have on you right now?
Okay, well, now I have 3.
Oh, you're supposed to lie for the camera.
I have 49.
That's what
dude.
I thought. I mean, that's what I thought.
I have this one. So I got rid of some, right? Whether it be like weird gifts that I just gave people because like half of them were unopened.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then I have 2 little, like, not these big ones. They're like small little pocket size, flimsy ones. They're not the hard cover.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. They kind of look like it's like a tan cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're really getting into this Moleskine thing.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, Moleskine. Shout out to Moleskine. They'll sponsor me next.
That's their second sponsor.
Yeah, my 4th, but you know, whatever. What else? Speaking of Moleskine, let's check.
Yeah.
All right, so you grew up in South Carolina, as you said.
Yeah.
Now, are you a fan of boiled peanuts?
Oh, who is not a fan of boiled peanuts?
Well, you're looking at someone who's never even thought about trying them.
Oh, we've got to change.
Yeah.
We've got to change this.
Because I heard you know who Charlemagne the God is?
Is he a rapper?
No, so he's a radio personality.
Oh, okay.
And he was on Stephen Colbert like a few years ago, and they're both from South Carolina.
Yeah.
And they were talking about boiled peanuts.
So I'm going to sidetrack real quick for you.
Please do.
Stephen Colbert's older brother was my 7th grade history teacher.
What's his name, though?
John Colbert.
John Colbert.
Colbert.
Okay,
look that shit up.
This is what I need to know from you, okay?
By the way, he's funnier than Steve.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Super funny.
Dang.
And that's not a knock to Stephen Colbert.
Okay, but was he funny, like, just interpersonally, or was he funny, like, theatrically? Because Stephen Colbert is very theatrical.
Yeah. I mean, I think, obviously, we didn't get to see the full extent of his theatrical abilities. Yeah. But I will say I laughed every class period.
Wow.
And I actually am a huge fan of Zulu African history because of him.
Wow.
If he ever hears this.
Was he was into Zulu African history?
I guess so.
Good for him.
I was about it, though.
Dang.
Made it very interesting. So anyway, yeah.
Dang.
So, Stephen Colbert was a huge celebrity where we're from.
Okay, but here's my question about that, right? Did he pronounce it Colbert, or was it Colbert?
So, it was Colbert.
Okay.
But then once we found out who his brother was, I called him Colbert.
Right, you called him Colbert.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
He actually always made fun of his brother too.
Yeah?
It's kind of funny. Yeah.
Dang, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. But boiled peanuts. If
Huge.
you're gonna do them, you've got to get the Cajun boiled peanuts. They've got to be hot and spicy.
Is that just like you
They're
just add the spices on them? They're not different.
And they're always better from a random person on the side of the road. Like you never want to go if an establishment is selling them, they're not good. They're overpriced.
Not good. Wow.
You need to go to a guy who's selling them out of the back of his van. Like I'm telling you, that's how you know they're good.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like $4 a pound. You're gonna buy like 4 pounds, and by the time you get home, you're gonna have none left.
Yeah, it's like when I go to funerals, my thing is like you can't go buy your flowers from Vaughn's. You have to buy the flowers from the old Mexican lady who's standing at the exit off the freeway, and she's selling the flowers right next to the funeral.
Somehow they're just better.
They're just better. They mean more.
They do.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the same way.
Yeah.
So don't fuck it up.
Yeah,
buy the right boiled peanuts.
Yeah, boiled peanuts. Now, did you ever boil peanuts yourself?
No.
Because I feel like I would never buy boiled peanuts because I could just buy peanuts and boil them.
Yeah, but the way that you boil peanuts isn't just like in a fucking...
Really?
Like you don't do it on a stove burner.
It's not just put it in boiling water?
Well, yeah, but I don't know. It seems like there's a more... At least I like to believe that there's more to the process.
I almost promise you that there's not.
No, don't tell me this, Jason.
I don't know.
Who's eating them, okay? And who hasn't?
That's true. You're right. Dang, man. Boiled peanuts.
They're good.
So what town are you from?
I grew up in a little town called Monk's Corner, South Carolina.
Monk as in like M-O-N-K?
Nope, as in C-K. So common misconception, everybody thinks it's because there's actually a monk monastery, a Catholic monastery in Monk's Corner. But it was really because a guy named Monk, his last name was Monk, M-O-N-C-K, had a corner store like 100 years ago or something.
And they named the whole town after this
Apparently he was a big deal, yeah.
Damn.
A really big deal. So they named the whole town.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, so it's very small. It's about, I don't know, outside of Charleston. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. And then you moved to Florida for school?
Yep. Graduated and, went straight to Florida. And then spent the next 5 years there. Went to school and got my degrees and then went back to Charleston to work for a year.
Back to Charleston. Is that where you did community organizing?
No, that's actually where I was the... I don't know what the technical word for it is. So the school that I graduated from had extension sites all over the country.
Okay, like separate campuses?
I mean, separate campuses is a big word.
It's a reach?
Yeah, it's a reach. Just small extension sites would be the word. And I was kind of the director of one of those at this local congregation there.
Nice.
Yep. So I kind of ran that.
Damn.
And was able to, I did that for about a year.
Dang.
A little over a year.
Nice. Now, what part of Florida were you in?
Lakeland, so it's right in between Tampa and Orlando.
Do you like Florida? Because all I hear about is that, like, Florida people are gross.
So I wouldn't say gross, I'd say crazy.
Crazy.
Have you heard of the Florida Man Challenge?
No, I don't know anything about Florida.
You've never heard the Florida Man Challenge?
No.
Okay, so Florida Man Challenge is look up your birthday.
Okay.
And Florida, like type in Florida Man on, and then say your birthday on Google or whatever search engine you use, and see what crazy story comes up from a Florida Man. You should probably do it right now.
Yeah. You keep talking.
Yeah, you need to do that.
Right.
So it's crazy.
Dang, dude.
I will say, while you're doing that, Florida, I love it because a lot of my friends are there.
Right.
But it's very, very hot. I mean, you guys have it so easy, or I should say, we have it so easy over here now.
Come on, you're a part of us.
Yes, that's right. I've been grafted in.
And
it rains every day. So you know how you guys, it rains like
every day.
Every day.
But like gross humid rain.
I will say that from months probably May to September, it rains like hurricane winds and thunderstorm for an hour to an hour and a half every day. It's like the rainforest. It's crazy.
Why do people want to live there?
I don't know. But you know what I have noticed? I have to wash my freaking car here. I never had to wash my car in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to wash your car.
I don't know. My car looks like shit.
There's a lot of environmentalists that would be yelling at you right now.
Oh.
You shouldn't wash your car.
Because of the water?
Wasting water.
Really?
Yeah, so actually, I don't know if you've even experienced one yet because you're new here, but they have car wash stations that use recycled water.
No, that's gross.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean,
It's a weird thing.
I get it.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Like, there's bigger fish to fry, don't you think?
Yeah, man. Like,
Stop using plastic, or something. You know, like.
Why do we even? Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It's like, why do we even need a freaking washed car?
Yeah, that's a good point. My car does look really bad.
All right, so I have to be honest with you. I'm not finding it.
You're not finding anything?
So I think there's a movie called Florida Man that came out on my birthday.
Really? What does the description say on that?
Okay, so do you know the website? So this is called Take Me Back. That's the website
okay.
that came up. And it's just saying Bill Clinton was the president when I was born.
No, not your actual, I wouldn't say the year.
Oh, you wouldn't say the year.
Just say your date, yeah.
Oh.
You're going a little, I don't know about that. There gets a lot of bad things
dude.
that happen.
On all official documents, when they ask for your birthday, you put your year.
You're right. I should have said your
you
day
said
and month.
non-official document. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Crime published April 27th. Florida man 71 accused of repeatedly exposing himself. Is that the type of stuff you're talking about?
Kind of. I think one.
No, this is a real guy. They're showing me a picture of him.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I'm telling you. Every day
Oh, so you're saying that Florida is so crazy that no matter when my birthday is, there's going to be a case.
There's going to be a crazy-ass case. A crazy one.
I feel you.
Like, I think mine was like he cut off 12 victims' fingers and then hit him in his fridge or something like that. I mean, I want to say it's
and
that
they're
crazy.
real. Those are real.
Yeah. I mean, was yours real?
Yeah, that's what it looks real.
It looks real. It's
CNN.
real. Yeah, it's
fake
Florida
news,
Man Challenge. So don't move there. It's crazy.
Dang, dude.
I moved there right when that guy ate that other guy's face off.
Oh, the bath salts guy.
Yeah, he was from Miami.
Dude, for a little bit, I was just like, oh, Bed Bath & Beyond's going out of business.
Oh.
Like, when I first started hearing the words bath salt as a drug, I was like, oh, dude, this is going to be the death of companies. Because I had no clue that was like a drug phrase that they were just using. You know?
I actually don't know what bath salts are. So,
I don't know either. I think it's like cheap meth.
Oh, okay.
I think that's all it is.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
But
cut with
they're
other
still
things.
going strong, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I still take a bath, so. Do you like baths?
Not a bath guy.
Neither.
No.
I've never once taken a bath.
Well,
Never once.
So you just lied.
Yeah, I just lied.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I don't like them. I just feel like I'm trapped.
It's so
in
boring.
The tub. Yeah.
Why do you want to lay down in a tub?
In my own.
Do you like jacuzzis?
I do, yeah.
I can't do a jacuzzi, man.
Really?
Makes me feel sick.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weak constitution?
What?
Do you have a weak constitution?
I guess. in terms of them, yeah. No, I think it's the heat and the chlorine smell and then all the steam makes me feel nauseous.
The bubbles don't help?
No, they annoy me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, we got to get you on a right jacuzzi.
Yeah, I know. No, I've tried, man. I've been in some bougie jacuzzis. I'll tell you. Why'd you do that?
So I could see how loud I was.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know. And
okay.
I just didn't know how my voice was going.
I was hoping you were going to say it's like an OCD thing.
It's that too, yeah.
Okay.
OCD, for
Nice.
sure.
Hey, so you're married.
I am married, yes.
You're one of... you're actually the first random person I've ever met that was married.
You just must not talk to many people.
Well, I mean, like, person that I became friends with.
Oh,
kind of like
okay.
my age. Like, oh, we're already married.
Yeah. We got married young. That's for sure. Yeah.
3 years now, right? Going on 3 years.
I was 20. How old was I? 22.
22?
When I was married, yeah.
Dang, dude, I'm older than that.
I turned 23 like that next, and like 2 weeks later, yeah.
Dang. When's your birthday?
November 12th.
Oh, it's coming up.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I've been married almost 3 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you want to have kids?
Do I want to have kids?
Uh-huh.
All right. So, do you want my spiel on this?
Yeah. Give me your spiel.
All right. So, my spiel is I don't want to say no, like not never.
Right.
Or not ever.
Right.
But my view on having kids is like, okay, so your parents tell you, or you always hear your parents are like, hey, I want the best for you. I want to give you the life that I never had. Like that's the common common narrative, right? Even if you didn't have it, you've heard that, right?
Yeah.
And then what happens is you have this better life or you don't have this better life, and then people have kids at like 25 or 30, and then they start repeating that same narrative to their kids that they just had. And no one actually ends up living the better life that they talked about. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
The first 20 years of my life, I get to live a better life, and then I'm going to cut it short and have a child? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of want to take that whole thing my parents told me and was like, hey, we want this better life for you, and actually be able to live out my passions, my dreams, and do things that, because once you have a kid, man, you're done. Like, you're not doing much else.
Yeah, that's what they say.
I mean, it's not even that. You just look around. Like, people who have kids don't leave their house. Like,
yeah, man.
You know?
So you do want to have kids. You're just unsure of the time frame.
I don't know if it's if we ever would or not.
Interesting.
Another thing is too is I think a lot of times, like, you know, you talk about you know, like this natural, like, scientifically speaking, we all want to have kids because we want to like reproduce and make sure our species lives on. And then you also like want to have your own genes in the gene pool, making that happen. It's like, that's really good, but we don't have that. Like, our species is going to be fine. Like, we don't need to.
Yeah, we're chilling.
Yeah, we cannot have kids for a while and be fine.
Yeah, we could take a couple years off.
Yeah, we could, and everything would be great.
Dude, just what if? What if every person took 1 year off of having kids?
Yeah, it would be good.
I feel like the whole world would be lighter, like physically lighter. I feel like we'd walk around with more of a bounce because the Earth is lighter. No,
I agree. So, like, I don't know. I was reading a book not too long ago about you know, evolution cycles and how that looks in humans. It doesn't look like we've done much evolving if you look back at history, but there's a word that's been used that I just learned called noetic evolution, and it's basically just the internal wirings of your neocortex allowing us to think better, more complex, and he calls it reflective consciousness. Not just that you know your surroundings, but you know that you know, right? And that sort of, if we continue to work on, how do you say it, like exercising our reflective consciousness, we can actually participate in the evolution of our species in a far greater way than we simply can through procreating.
Yeah.
So, like, if I want to contribute to the race, it's actually better for me to live my life studying and getting information out there than it would be to just go have a child.
Yeah, it's almost like I think the humans, we're not working to evolve physically as all the other species are. You know, like every other species is in this conflict where you have a fucking wolf, right? And they're the top dog of their land, but then you never know, a mountain lion comes up. So if the mountain lion population is high in the area, the wolf population is going to be low. Then the wolf population gets high, mountain lions get low. And so the evolution process of that is all the species there that are competing, they're always, I mean, they're not looking for it because they don't know it's happening. And, you know, there's not like a master plan. It's just what happens, evolutionarily speaking. But they're always trying to one-up each other with new physical features, right? I'm going to be bigger. I'm going to be stronger. I'm going to have, like, bulls with their horns, right? I'm going to have bigger horns. And then I think humans stopped evolving and playing that game physically like that, but now we're all evolving with our capabilities and with our information, like you're saying, and our hobbies and habits and everything that we can do. Like, that's the evolution. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right on with that, and that's kind of why. Back to your kid question, it's like, I don't want to succumb to that selfish nature of, like, you always hear. I mean, I think there's a comedian that says it, Jim Jeffries. He talks about, like, it's super selfish to have a child because, like, you look at the baby and you're like, my favorite parts of you are the parts that remind me of myself. Yeah. And I think a lot of people do that. And also, this is my last thing on children, and I know you probably have other things you want to get to at some point, but I feel like people have children to abdicate their responsibility to do something with their life. It's just I'm not going to say that's like, I wouldn't die on that hill. Yeah. But I think people don't want to spend their time progressing in a way, whatever that is, like physically or mentally or professionally or however that relationally, so they have a child. So now you have an excuse not to like do better things to improve yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think a lot of people have a kid out of a lack of purpose.
Yeah,
right?
that's probably a better way to say what I just said. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
That's why you do this.
And I think that's why a lot of the like our generation, they're saying that they're having kids much later. They're not even buying houses. People like us.
Well, we can't afford them.
Yeah, you can't afford them. Yeah, yeah. But I think, I don't know. Like, if you could afford a house, would you buy one?
Yeah, I kind of like being able to move when I want.
Yeah,
new opportunity opens up.
I'm a fan of that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm an apartment fan.
Yeah.
I'm a huge apartment
I just don't like fixing shit. I don't want to spend like when I was a kid, my dad built this whole house. He's an amazing guy.
Okay.
Like he can just build anything.
What's his name?
Steve.
Steve the carpenter?
Steve, he can do all that. Yeah.
Nice.
I have never called him that before. But on the weekends, it was always doing yard work or cleaning or fixing or building.
Yeah.
And I don't want after you work 40 hours or more now, my weekends to be filled with doing more shit at the house. Like, I just don't want to do that. I'd rather do something I want to do.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Yeah, my dad bought this mobile home, and the mobile home park was a little shitty, right? It's not the best. And we had a nice one. And on the inside of this place, it was beautiful, right? It was 2 bedrooms, but we built a room in it because there was me, my brother, my dad. And then the backyard was super shitty. The front yard was shitty. The porch had no rails or anything. It was an open porch. Everything was super beat on this house.
Okay.
You know?
I got a good visual.
Yeah. And by the time we moved out of there, it was like a beautiful place. Like, we redid the entire backyard. We had gardens going. We built that other room that I just said. We built the porch up. We put ceiling fans everywhere. We had fences everywhere. Like, it was a nice house.
Okay.
So
that's the inverse. Like, it was good to do that work on the weekend.
Like, I enjoyed doing that stuff.
All right.
But I see that,
to each their own, yeah.
Yeah, I see that I don't want to do that right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't want to have those obligations right now. But a huge thing that I do miss is being able to build things. Like, we had this space. We had 2 sheds. We had a storage shed and then like a work shed. And I miss being able to, like, if I wanted to build a kayak, like, have the room to do it and have the tools to do it myself.
That's true.
Yeah, but I don't know how to build a kayak.
Yeah, you can't really do that in an apartment.
Yeah.
Building stuff, I wish I could do it, but I've never been interested enough to really divert my energy to it.
I've never been that into it either.
So,
but I wish I had the capabilities to do it. Yeah. All right. So, what school did you go to in Florida? What was your university? Because you went to a Christian university.
I did. Yes, it was Southeastern University.
Southeastern.
Lakeland, Florida.
Okay.
Yep.
Was it a big school or a small school?
I mean, I guess it's relative. I mean, if you're comparing it to like
Florida State or something.
Yeah, no, way
Tiny.
smaller. Yeah, I mean, there's 3,000 people on campus, like on the physical location.
Okay, so that's smaller than most high schools, at least in Southern California.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess so. It's definitely smaller than. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did they have like good funding and good projects and resources for you guys, or?
I mean, I only had that experience, right? So I can't. I feel like the campus itself was beautiful. They had a pretty good library system. Okay. But I mean, there weren't like bells and whistles. Right. You know.
Right.
I don't even know what that would look like.
Yeah.
I mean, we could eat. There was a cafeteria.
Nice. And you lived in the dorm?
I did the whole time.
Did you befriend your dorm mates, or were you guys just kind of acquaintances?
Yeah. So one of my roommates was my best man. The other one is my brother-in-law.
Nice.
And there's a couple others around, but I mean, those are the 2 big ones.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
now, was that the first time that you had left South Carolina, like moving wise?
Yeah, I never moved anywhere else. That was I lived in South Carolina until I moved to Florida.
Interesting. Yeah. And then, did you ever travel as a kid? Did you go? Have you been to another country?
Yeah. So I went on lots of the church I was a part of in high school. I went on a lot of mission. They call them mission trips. I don't know if you're familiar with that term. Yeah. So I went to a bunch of them. Yeah. Not a bunch, but a handful.
Where'd you go?
So I went to Nicaragua, I went to El Salvador, and I went to a couple of islands in the Bahamas.
Nice.
Poor.
Yeah, one of my coworkers went to Jamaica like 4 or 5 times, she said.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's cool. It looks kind of all the same.
You
You can't really tell. Like, I know that sounds very politically incorrect,
Right.
but like,
Did you save
I was
anyone?
15.
Right, that's the whole purpose of those, is like to save them.
Okay,
right?
yeah. You mean in the term of like eternal damnation?
Yeah, let me know if I get this wrong, right?
Okay.
So, missionaries, you guys go on your trips,
Well, don't say not you guys.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you go on the missions, though, right? Or people go on missions,
Yeah.
and the purpose is that God or Jesus is not coming back for the rapture. Like, it's not going to happen until every person has heard the name of the Lord, and then they can make up their own decision whether or not they believe. Right? That's what I've heard about it, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this a
Right.
little earlier. Like, there's so many interpretations.
Yeah.
It's really hard to pin it on. But I will say that's pretty close for the Orthodox model of
Okay.
Christianity,
Okay.
right? So the story is that, God was in, Jesus is God in the flesh.
Right.
He died. He ascended into the kingdom of heaven. He is going to come back, like you said, once everybody's had the opportunity to hear about him. And then their salvation is contingent on them accepting the
Right.
fact that he came back and died for them.
Yeah.
So that's the, yeah. So that was
Interesting.
that. So your question was, did I save anyone?
Or convert. I suppose.
So I was in a tent a lot of times where I would present the message, because what we would do is we'd have like medical tents. So we would usher people in because all these people had like cataracts or they had physical ailments that we could easily solve with a shot of penicillin
Right.
or some vitamins
Right.
or whatever it is, right? So we had a few doctors come with us, and then we would lure them in to give a medical treatment. But before they could get their medications, they had to come see the spiritual tent. And so in the spiritual tent, we would give them the spiel, and then we would ask them to repeat after us for this prayer. And then after they did that, or if they didn't do that, then they would go to their medical side and get their treatment.
Dang.
So yeah, I did participate in those.
That sounds like they would just use you, though. Like, if they knew that they were going to
for
get
sure.
health benefits from
yeah.
this.
But you don't know that when you're 16.
Right.
Like, you know,
Right.
you don't put
You were
those
doing
things
this at
together.
16?
I think I did it at 15 was my
15.
first time, yeah. And I did it 16, 17, and 18.
Do you have fond memories of it, though?
Oh,
like traveling
yeah.
and the experiences and people you meet?
Yeah, I had one crazy story. We went to the Bahamas. I was 15, and we did it all on a sailboat. So
Okay.
across
Right.
in the water. I don't know where we
Sounds
were. Right?
nuts.
And we had these two massive storms, like, I mean, huge. And we've never heard. This guy, by the way, he only wore pink Speedo, nothing
Okay.
else. He was our captain. And
He's a legend already.
His name was Bruce, Captain Bruce. He's a badass for sure. And so he even said himself, "I've never seen a storm like this."
Wow.
So we all,
And he's a captain.
and he's a captain. This sailboat, I'm telling you, was wham,
Really?
wham, so bad we had to put life jackets on and go in the bottom of the boat.
So were the waves like they are in the movies where they're huge and then they're
Oh,
coming
yeah.
at you, but yet somehow your boat kind of just rides the wave?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know what you're talking about. It wasn't like what's the movie Poseidon? I don't think.
Yeah,
it
there
was,
weren't like 50-foot waves, I imagine.
No, but it was
still,
pretty dang crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang.
And we got out of there, yeah, with no problems. But it was like it was the closest to death I've ever been. For
Interesting.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think he was a lot more scared than he let on to be.
Well,
Like I think, because
he
we were
should
all
be.
like,
Yeah.
we're all like kids, and he was responsible.
Were you
for us.
crying or were you just like,
No, I
huh?
mean, you're
Yeah.
invincible when you're 15.
Yeah.
I'm gonna swim to shore.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Miles
We're not
away.
that far.
Yeah.
It's only been 4 days.
Yeah. So I wasn't worried at all. I was actually kind of hoping for us to go down.
Yeah, I mean, if they could find the people from the Titanic in the 1900s,
Yeah.
right? They could find you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you could live.
Except we were in the Bahamas. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy,
Yeah.
though.
So yeah, that's great. It was a
Dang.
story that I had
Yeah.
from my missionary adventures.
So your major, though, was theology. That was your undergraduate major?
Yeah, so my first one was in practical theology. That was
Uh-huh.
what it was called. And my master's was in just Master of Arts in Theological Studies.
Okay, but you focused on eschatology.
I did. Well, I mean, it's hard to say that, but most of my papers were oriented around a couple of guys who were in that subsection of theology, and I was very fond of them.
And then eschatology focuses on the end times.
It's like it's kind of hard. Yes, technically speaking, the word.
Okay, good, because eschatology 101. If you just type that in on YouTube, that's what it tells you. There's a nice little 2-minute video.
Oh, did you end up looking that up?
Yeah, I looked it up, and they said, "Oh, we focus on the end times."
Okay, yeah.
Like, okay, I got that
that's
down.
a very that's what I would expect from a 2-minute YouTube video.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a big discipline.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like talking about materialists versus idealists in philosophy. I mean, it's a big. You know, you could spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, people spend careers there.
Yeah, I mean, I studied read people's books where they got their PhD postdoctorate degrees in eschatology.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I had a professor who was he was a Kantian. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Didn't read anybody else, huh?
So he got his undergraduate in philosophy. He got his master's in Kantian ethics. Whatever, I'm sure it had a different name, but it was Kantian ethics. Then he got his PhD in like one area of Kant's ethics.
That blows my mind.
And I was like, dude, you spent a couple $100,000.
All I have to do is read the word categorical imperative, and I feel like I got it.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Is that my phone?
I think that is your phone. You could go grab it.
Let me.
Okay, so let's briefly touch on the community organization.
Okay.
Because I read Barack Obama's book, Dreams of My Father.
Okay.
Have you read it?
No, I haven't.
Oh,
no.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, everybody says that.
It's an amazing book.
I have a problem with reading books from presidents. I just do. Politicians in general.
This was prior to his presidency, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I don't even
he
know
wrote
stuff
it
like that.
Right when he became senator, I believe, if I remember correctly. It was.
Yeah.
He was the second African American to be senator, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Or maybe even first. I forget.
Did he write that about himself?
He wrote it. It was just a little fun fact, yeah. But no, it's a really.
Sure it's true.
It was a really nice book.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
And then
cool.
But yeah, I know he comes from community organizing, and I don't know the difference, right? So like when I hear community organizer, I just hear like, okay, someone who gets paid no money and tries to help out things that probably aren't working, right? That's like what my brain tells me.
Yeah.
Because that's all I really know about it.
That's actually, I mean, about as good of a synopsis.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuanced, but that sounds about right. I mean, the no money part was definitely true. Yeah, so he came from a community organization that's like super similar to ours.
Interesting.
I mean, he did it in Chicago. I think it was Gamaliel. I want to say that. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
But we were in a organization called DART.
Okay.
And basically, it's congregational community organizing. Most community organizing is like a lot of the ones that are successful are oriented around some sort of religious foundation because you already have people congregated together. Like
why not?
Under the
why
same,
not do something?
They're using the same text, right? They can be organized around some of those things.
Yeah.
But in short, so I was doing this in Florida, and we were in a county, and you'd listen to all of the needs of the people in the area. So we'd host, I don't know, a bunch of house meetings, hundreds of them, and then we would collect all of their stories. So we'd actually ask questions like, "What keeps you awake at night? What angers you?" Those kind of things. And then from that, you'd hear stories about overprice of medication or housing costs are really high or my kid's getting bullied in school.
Right.
And then we'd collect all of those. We'd have a huge rally, and 600,000 or 800,000 people would show up and vote on which particular issue they want to tackle this year.
Wait, did you just say 600,000?
No, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, no, that's
600 to 800 to 1,000.
Yeah, 600 to 1,000 people.
So they would come up.
And we'd vote. And then once we would vote on those issues, we would break out into research committees. They would meet with different professionals and experts in that field and then try to come up, first of all, identify what's causing the problem and then figure out a solution to that problem.
Interesting.
And then we would, through a series of things, basically we would bring our public officials together. And this time we'd have like 3,000 to 4,000 people at like a stadium.
Yeah.
And we'd bring in the decision makers and the public officials, like the chief of police or the school board or housing committees. Yeah. And then we would pretty much just say, hey, are you going, this is the problem. Here's some few testimonies. Here are thousands of people that agree. Are you going to implement this new solution or no? And our people power, the fact that like if you say no to this, like you're probably going to lose our vote. Right. Like that's not. We don't say that.
Here's a couple thousand people who disagree with you.
Yeah, and like, are you going to listen to the voices in your community, or are you gonna take money from whoever's funding your campaign? Yeah. And then we got stuff passed. Yeah.
That sounds super impactful, though.
Yeah, I mean, we won $100 million for affordable housing when I was there. Yeah.
$100 million.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's a lot of money, but in terms of a city's budget, it's probably not
to draw. And that's where they try to muddy the waters. They try to convince people that this is a whole lot of money. But you can't do that. But then when you put when you put it in perspective of like their budget's $40 billion or whatever, it's
that's nothing.
It's
$5.
Yeah, it's $5. Yeah. So that's kind of how we worked. It was a lot of fun, a lot of work. But
how long did you do that for?
A little over, I want to say 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so you won $100 million for affordable housing. And then did you do anything else that's like major achievements?
So we collaborated with a bunch of other organizations in Florida. So we all had like sister organizations. And what we ended up doing was getting together to pass a statewide bill for civil citations. So if you were under 18 and you committed a nonviolent misdemeanor, instead of getting an arrest record, which we know pretty much brands you for life. You can't get a job, can't get housing, can't go into the military, your life's ruined. You would go through a diversion program and do some community service, pay recompense, and you would never get a record. And we saw our county implemented it. 98% of eligible kids got this. Nice. And then we went from, don't get me on the numbers here, but I think we went from like 13,000 a year we're getting arrested to like 6,000.
Whoa.
In the course of like 2 years.
That's crazy.
Being implemented.
Yeah, our town had a teen court. So for all misdemeanor offenses and minor crimes and petty theft, you had the option to go to teen court and at City Hall, and then community service, pay some fines, and then
no record.
Yeah, no record.
That's awesome. You probably didn't have to organize for that either, huh? It just happened.
Yeah, not that I know of. I don't know. Maybe people did, but not much that I know anything about that. Yeah,
it was cool though. Yeah, people of faith coming together and doing that. It was pretty.
That sounds awesome.
Living for something a little bigger than themselves. It was kind of nice. Really enjoyed it.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Okay, so back to your degrees. Okay. Right. So you have bachelor's in theology and then essentially master's in theology as well. Can you explain theology to people that don't know what theology is?
Ooh, okay. So the first thing I would say is if you have a faith, everybody ascribes to a theology. Mm-hmm. A theology would just be the study of God. Theo being God, ology, you know
study
the whole thing. The study of. Yeah. So that's what it means. And a lot of people will say, I don't need a theology. I just have my belief. The fact you're just saying that means you already have one. Right. So I think people feel like it's not important to their faith journey when in reality they're participating in the discipline and they don't know it.
A wise man once said, "It's not my opinion. It's just what I believe."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's right on the money.
One of my friends said that.
Oh, yeah? Well, he was a wise man then.
Wise man.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, so, I mean, there's not really much to say there. It's like, it was funny. I had a guy when I was in college, a good friend of mine growing up, had no idea what theology meant. And I told him that's what I was studying. It's been a while since I talked to him. And he he said, "Are you studying... is that study of rocks?"
Study of rocks.
He thought it was geology.
Initially, I wanted to be, when I first went to college, I was like, okay, I'm going to do business, right? That's when I was really into Mad Men. I was watching Don Draper just do the shit, and I was like, damn, I could do that.
I could be Don Draper.
Right, yeah. He's so charming, and then...
and good looking.
And good looking, yeah, that is the best. And then, so I was like, okay, business. I did 1 semester of business, and I had 2 business classes, and I was taking other GE classes. And then in both business classes, I had people holding up the lectures to ask the professor to explain the most simplest things I've ever heard in my life.
Like, what do you mean? Give me an example.
Like, let's just say, what branch of business sells things to people and for advertising and stuff like that? And the answer would be marketing, right? Like something so simple like that.
And these people are in college.
Yeah, these people were in college holding up lectures for simple things, every single class. And that's when I knew. One day I just got fed up. I was like, are you kidding me?
These are
like,
the people that run the world.
Yeah. And then they were talking about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs and all this stuff. And then it was just simple stuff.
In a business class.
Right. And it was 101 stuff. So it wasn't like it's not a knock on people who do business, because I'm sure it gets harder and more intricate as you get higher in the system. But yeah, that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this isn't for me.
Can't do that.
Yeah, I can't do it. And then so I switched. I had a very good astronomy professor in high school. She got grants and all this stuff, and then we sent weather balloons up 90,000 feet into space.
Wow.
Yeah, we have footage of it on YouTube. And
I think you were telling me about this.
Yeah, and then so my year, what we did is we were trying to measure time dilation. So we had, I don't know how they did it. I wasn't in charge of the experiment part. I was in charge of the launching.
Okay.
Like getting the balloon in the air.
Like
me and Alana we were in the newspaper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we were on the launch team.
So this isn't your first shot at stardom here. This is you're used to the fame.
Yeah. You know, I was trying to get to the moon.
Oh,
yeah. But no. So we sent it up. Blah blah blah. They found it. They had like a relocating team, like all this stuff. So she was a really good professor.
Yeah.
And then she transitioned from high school. That was all in high school. She transitioned from high school teaching to doing some college stuff at the community college. And then, so me and my brother took her class. We both had her class in high school, and we knew her, and she was really nice and stuff. And then we're like, okay, let's do astronomy as our majors. So that was my second major going into college. And then I was like, oh, I can't do the math, even though I was getting A's in the classes. You know, I took 2 astronomy classes in college, A's in them both. It was a lot of fun, you know, but I was like, I'm not going to be able to do all the calculus 12 and whatever, however high it goes.
Hard.
Yeah, fuck that. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to go to, what was my next one? I stayed undeclared for a little bit. What was your
next ology?
Yeah, so I went to philosophy after that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, actually, I went to biology for a major.
So there was another ology in there.
Yeah, there was another ology. Yeah, I wanted to do evolutionary biology, which isn't far from what I'm studying now. And then that
anthropology, right?
Yeah. So I went to evolutionary biology. I had a professor who like charmed me into it. You know, I really feed off of my professors and their excitement for things, especially as like an undecisive kid who doesn't know anything about a future. It's like I didn't know I wanted to go to college until I was at graduation.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah. So I barely graduated high school, and so I went to evolutionary biology. And that's just kind of the stuff I was interested in most at the time. Yeah. And then again, with the math classes, I was like, I can't do it. Like I can, right? Everyone's going to be saying, oh, you can do it. You just have to tell yourself you can do it, and you have to try. But it's like I didn't have the patience to even sit down and try, you know? And
it's probably because you didn't have an awesome teacher like you had for astronomy teaching math.
Yeah.
That's what I get. You know, you say that, I get really pissed off because like, I'm just now realizing how important physics is. Like physics is everything, right? And you ask questions in school like, why the hell am I learning algebra right now?
Yeah.
What is this doing?
Yeah.
And they're like, you have to know it for the test. Yeah. Or you have to know it because one day you might be an engineer.
Right.
And
I'm never going to be an engineer, bro.
But if you told me we could map down, like this is how the entire universe works, down to like the Big Bang,
a millionth of a second after the Big Bang.
We can go down to quarks and gluons and look at what's happening in CERN, and we can do that. And then we can also go to the cosmological level and look back 13 million light years or billion light years or something.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, but they don't tell you that. So then we're sitting here and we we don't like math. We don't know anything about math.
Yeah, we know nothing. I used to have the frame of mind that I would be like, when are we gonna have to use this in life? Oh, right now. Right now is when we're using it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
But I just couldn't do the homework. I was like, I'd rather go outside.
Yeah.
But so I went from biology then to philosophy, and I stayed there for a good little minute, and I got super, super into it. But
Who's your guy? Who'd you like in philosophy? Did you have a particular person?
No, so I didn't like subscribe to this guy's newsletter, I would say. I wasn't like agreeing with him for everything.
Yeah.
But I got pretty into just existentialist thought,
Yeah.
And Albert Camus.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I love his writing. He's like my favorite author.
Yeah. And you see people reading him all the time.
Yeah.
At least what's his famous
The
book?
Stranger.
Yeah.
And then you have The Myth of Sisyphus, which is like
I usually
beautiful.
see Stranger though.
Yeah, The
people
Stranger.
are always reading that.
Yeah, I actually had to read The Stranger. It's weird how this worked out. I read The Stranger. I went to summer school because I kept failing classes in high school. I had to go to this summer school, and I hated it. And they just kept giving me books and books and books. And one of them was The Stranger. But I actually read it. And I really, really liked it. And I had no clue anything about philosophy. I never even thought of it at that point.
You didn't even know who this guy
Never
was.
even knew. I didn't even remember the author. But then when I was taking an existentialist class, I was like, Camus? I read this book. So I reread it with the class, and then I had like all these different takeaways from it. And my professor was just like, "Oh, that's a thesis. That's a graduate thesis that you can do on that," and blah blah blah. And I was like, "No, I'm not going to study Camus. Like, I'm not going to major in Camus. I'm going to do something else." And then that's when I knew that I was like, okay, I need something more science based. Something more practical and stimulating for me.
Well,
but still with the philosophy frame of how things work.
I know you wanted at some point. We were talking a little bit about. We didn't get into it too much, but a little bit on politics, and I know you were curious about a little bit on like where my stance is on some things and.
Yeah. So let me give you some background. I think we discussed this before when we were hanging out or something, but I don't take hard stances on politics, really, and I like to hear other people's perspectives on it. And I know they say like everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I think in terms of politics, it's like there's a lot of angles that people can be coming from, and it's hard to just say like, oh, the right is racist or the left wants to give everyone free shit just because like I hear older people say, oh, all the kids want Bernie because Bernie's going to give them free shit, right? Yeah. But it's not free. Where's the money coming from?
You got that from Fox News, though.
Right, yeah. So all the old people that listen to that. And then you have everyone who's young, like our age, and saying like, oh, the right's just racist and dumb and blah, blah. But it's like neither of which are really true,
Well, I'd say that discourse that's happening is predetermined by those who control news media.
Yeah.
So that's not even the conversation we should be having.
Right.
We've got to transcend that.
Yeah.
And that's hard because in order to do that, you have to read books. You can't get this from media, right?
Right.
Like, it's
who's reading books?
I mean, I don't know if you heard the book Manufacturing Consent. I think we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole premise, just in a nutshell, is, in short, businesses own media.
Yeah.
And they're never going to promote something in news media that goes against their interest.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be stupid business.
Yeah.
So we're talking about this shit because they want us to. Mm-hmm. But that's we've got to get past that.
Yeah.
And people think it's a new thing, right? Like people think that because you see it now, like from the left side, right? Like business is taking over, and we've got to sequester them and give rights to people. Like it's a new fad, right? Like everybody's an activist now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what really got the left into thinking that things were corrupt from almost every angle is when the DNC fucked over Bernie.
Yeah, that was a big turning point.
I think that was a huge turning point for especially younger people who are kind of like, oh, it's corrupt, but it's always been corrupt, so it's kind of fine. But now you're seeing like, oh no, they're literally fucking over the front runners of campaigns.
And the one that was calling for business, like, stuff to be regulated a little bit more closely. Yeah, and I think I don't want to get trapped into this idea that I think in order for people to really understand how to vote properly or how to go about their political understanding, we can't have a myopic view. Like we can't just look at what's happening now.
Right.
But I think we got to go back to the beginning of our nation, really. Like when you look at this stuff has been going on since our beginning. I mean, the framers of the Constitution, James Madison, said, and this is his quote. He said, the role of government is to protect the minority of the opulent from the majority. This is the guy that signed the Constitution. Yeah. Like he's a framer. Like we have pictures of him in the White House, right? Yeah. And I mean, this is going on. I mean, and people don't know this too much either. Like the Federalist Papers, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Familiar.
Bit, yeah.
So for those who aren't, they were pamphlets that were given out to people in the colonies to really incite them to go to war against Britain. Well, the consensus at the time is nobody wanted to fucking go to war with Britain.
I don't think anyone ever wants to go to war ever.
That's a good point.
Other than selfish reasons.
Yeah,
like
I mean, that's
power
a good
and
point.
Oil. Yeah.
But they were convincing, and the consensus, there's quotes all over. People are saying, why would I trade in one tyrant that's 3,000 miles away for the tyrant in my backyard?
Right. Yeah, I've heard that
one. Like nobody wanted to go to war. And so... And it's exactly what happened. The aristocracy just moved here, and we had this kind of thing. And so, from the very beginning, you have business kind of controlling the political discourse from our incipients, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, you also have to think that when things were still being industrialized, like pre-industrial revolution, our economy wasn't anything other than little businesses, and then you'd have a business that would flourish, and then that was the only major source of money that could do anything. So I think, like, I don't know, I'm not a historian and I've never really studied up on this too much, but I think that like business money in terms of the economy has been tied in with any type of political movements since the very start, because that's the only money that we've had to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? We weren't exporting anything initially. We were owned by Britain, and then we said, fuck you, Britain. We won, and then we were alone, and then we were like, oh, wait, we don't have anything,
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on, and that's the scary part.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, and I think we talked about this a lot before. Like the bridge is, science can like help, right?
Yeah,
like that's a good option to move forward, and it to me though it does have a propensity to help or hurt. Like to me, it's just a medium. So when you had like these farming communities, and then all of a sudden, like you just got done saying, we had this industrialization happen, and we moved from people plowing their fields to working in factories,
right?
And now we fast forward, it's like a really good thing, but it had a propensity to not be good at all. I mean, you had the Lowell. Have you ever heard of the Lowell factory girls? Does that ring a bell to you at all?
No.
Okay, so it was Lowell, Massachusetts. I'm probably pronouncing the city wrong.
Lowell.
Lowell, maybe.
Is it Lowell?
Yes.
Yeah, Lowell.
Lowell. Okay, so Lowell. Sorry, I'll say Lowell anyway.
Yeah, Lowell.
Lowell. And they called their position of being now forced into these factories, they called it wage slavery, because first of all, they're making like pennies a day.
Yeah.
And secondly, they're no longer owning the means of their production. So they're working and toiling all day with no equity. And so they said that wage slavery was worse than chattel slavery, because if I own you, say you're my slave, I'm going to make sure you have health care. I'm going to make sure you're taken care of.
Right, because I want
you're
performance from you.
You're an investment.
Yeah.
But if you're rented to me, you're disposable.
That's like what we were talking about, our living situation. It's like an apartment, you don't have to be fixing things.
Yeah, I mean, that's
the complex is going to fix it for you.
Yeah.
But if you live at home, it's your duty to maintain the upkeep of the house.
Yeah, you're going to take better care of the thing you own than the thing you rent.
Yeah.
And so we had a really big, thing happen where it could have gotten really worse. But so science made us to the point where we no longer have to plow fields, but now we have a new problem. And to me, the reason why I got into organizing, to go back full circle, is the only way we got better was through large masses of people coming together, advocating for themselves. I mean, we just celebrated Labor Day.
Right.
I mean, like, that's case in point. That's one. Like, people died for Labor Day. People died for a 2-day weekend, for 40 hours, for a minimum wage, for the whole 9 yards.
Right.
But I think science allows us to make the decision to go one way or another. Like, okay, here's something that's good potentially. Now, are we going to use this to serve those same masters? Or are we gonna organize and make it kind of for human purposes of human flourishing?
Who do you think right now is the person advocating for the things that you want to see advocated for?
I mean, now that you already kind of put a little funny remark on him, I really do think Sanders is the way to go. I mean, and I'm not saying that what he says is necessarily better than some of the forerunners, but he has never changed his position.
Yeah, there's something credible about that, whether you agree or not. And I think what Sanders did with Trump, the same scenario that they did in 2015, 2016, is they were the only authentic people that were running. And I think a lot of people on the left may view Sanders as wrong, but you can't say he's not authentic. And I think that's the same for Trump. He's stupid and he's a loudmouth. But
I disagree on that. I think he is the elite, man. Like,
you think so?
I mean, he's a billionaire. I mean, he is in that group of people. He is causing on purpose for people to vote against their interests.
Yeah.
I mean, no person would vote for against their interests, and he's doing that through getting rid of estate taxes, through taking care of taxes on his buddies. I mean, all of that is affecting us.
I more or less meant just like the things that they say.
Okay.
And Trump, I think what makes people believe in him even halfway is that like he's seemingly authentic.
Okay,
he's seemingly himself.
I know. I get what you're saying. I just wanted to make sure.
Right.
I do not think he is actually authentic.
He's not the one with the talking points, right?
Yeah.
Like, as annoying as it is, and he's trying to defend his reputation nonstop.
Yeah.
He's not the one who comes out planned with the talking points. And neither is Sanders. You could challenge him on anything. He'll say, "Oh, 1994, I did that. Oh, I've been advocating for this since 87.
Yeah.
Oh, I grew up like, and it's like, it doesn't matter what the script is. And someone like with Hillary Clinton and what we see a lot in the Democratic debates now is everything's scripted. And the second it goes off, it's like people either start shouting or they just shut up because they're like, oh, I can't keep up with that. And then those people fall off. Then the people shouting are the only people in the conversation, but then it deters us away from the actual issues.
Yeah. They start doing personal slander and stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, I think the best candidate, I guess I should have answered your question more comprehensively. I think Andrew Yang is...
Okay, I was hoping you were going to say Yang.
Yeah, so I don't think we're ready for him.
That's what so I was telling Crystal this when we watched the first Democratic debate of this year. I think... Do you remember how in 2016 and 2015, there's things that Sanders was saying and everyone was just kind of like, oh, no, he's wrong.
What
no
the
way.
Fuck? That's not going to happen.
Even the left was like, oh, no, he's crazy. He's too far. And now this is...
It's common.
This is the narrative of the left now.
Everyone, if you're not on that, you're not going to win.
And now so many people have moved farther than that, or further, I should say. They've moved further left, and now they're the crazy ones. But then you have someone like Andrew Yang who... He doesn't seem like he's that much further left than Sanders. He's just saying different things.
Yeah.
But people still view him as crazy and we're not ready for him. And I think in the next decade, we're going to say, oh, we should have listened to him.
Oh,
he was our warning guy. He was our Ross Perot.
Oh, I agree. I mean, especially like his stuff on automation.
Right.
Oh, it's amazing.
It makes so much sense that all these jobs are being automated away and they're going to continue to be. And then everyone's going to be fucked. And then what are we going to do? Yeah. So why don't we get that jump on it?
And what people don't actually, I think a lot of people don't understand this or know this, because I think a lot of people don't want you to know this. I sound like some kind of conspiracy theorist right now. That's not what I'm doing. But a lot of this automation is paid for by taxpayers. So it gets funneled, and it has been. So your computer, the camera you're using right now, all this stuff was funneled through the War Department or the Defense Department. Now it was changed the name. They do the same thing, but so the Defense Department, it gets our research and development through our taxpayer dollars. Automation technology comes out, and then it gets privatized to the business and then sold back to us, or we lose our jobs because of the thing that we're investing in. So we're taking all the risk, and then we lose our jobs because of the things that we took risk in to develop. And I think when people can begin to understand like a little bit more of that, realizing that like, oh, taxing automation and making sure businesses don't reap all the rewards of that coming through this UBI or whatever he calls it, universal
freedom dividend.
Is that what he calls it? Freedom dividend?
That's his term on it, to stray away from the universal basic income stigma that the right has put on that already.
Oh, okay. Is that a stigma now?
I think it's kind of like what does Sanders say? He says Medicare for all, right?
Yeah.
And then so that automatically got stigmatized by the right as
freedom
like
dividend
a crazy
sounds
thing.
so woo-woo, though.
Yeah,
it
does sound so. It sounds like the title of like some pop star's album.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, what are you talking about?
But
freedom?
hey, I mean, he's the one to. I mean, he's
Yeah.
the first one to talk about it. We probably shouldn't make fun of it.
No, yeah, we shouldn't. I think he's the smartest one in terms of he comes from Silicon Valley. He's a business investor.
Okay.
He looks at the data. He studies the graphs. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think he's good for politics, though. Like, I don't think he'd be good for being a president.
Okay, why do you say that?
I just don't think. I mean, maybe he will be. You know, I mean, this is like his first dabble in politics, so I think maybe he'll dip his toes and then continue and grow. But I don't think that getting people who aren't politicians is our best bet as a country. Like, I think we should get the good politicians, if they're even existing.
Yeah.
You know? But it's like people that know how things work in terms of politics. But then that's the stuff that
Now, I know you're big into comedy right
Uh-huh.
now. Have you seen that sketch by I can't remember. I should remember his name. He's an Asian guy, and he does this huge skit on why we should have Asian presidents.
No.
Why we should have an Asian for president.
No.
You haven't?
No.
Okay, I'm going to send you the link.
Yeah.
It is hilarious.
Dang.
Basically, the whole thing is they don't give a shit about the race thing or anything. They just care about making things work.
I think I did see this.
A little clip of that. It's hilarious. Anyway, it made me think of Andrew Yang.
Yeah.
My first thought was like, oh,
yeah,
like, you know, maybe I should vote for Andrew Yang. This comedian has convinced me.
Now, I think Andrew Yang would be a great person to be in the ear of the politicians.
Yeah.
He'd be the best right-hand man. I think he'd probably make a good vice president because they don't really do much other than offer guidance.
Yeah.
Right? And so I would love to see him be like a vice president, and then maybe he's still so young, work his way up, learn the ropes and stuff.
I do have a question for you. Now, I know Biden's been doing some verbal slips recently.
Right.
But if Biden, because he's still kind of a front runner, right? Like it's him and Warren and Sanders probably, right? Do you say those are the three?
I don't even know if Warren's in the conversation.
Oh, okay.
I think the media portrays her to be, but you can't trust any media stats in their polls anymore because they said Hillary was so far above Trump.
Yeah.
And Trump was saying that's not true at all. And it wasn't true at all.
Yeah,
you know?
It's true.
And because you had all the closet people. And that's just a thing that's going to happen. And so I think everyone's pushing their own little narrative. So I don't know who the front runner is. It's probably Bernie. He's probably above Biden, but they're probably making it seem like it's more neck and neck than it really is.
Well, I would say at least Biden has somewhat of a chance.
Yeah. He's definitely in the conversation.
I want to know, and for my own reasons, if Biden's on the ticket and you have to make a decision between Trump and Biden, what are you doing and why? Because I have my own thoughts, but they're probably incorrect, but I still have my own.
Now, for full disclosure, okay, I didn't want Hillary at all. I did not like her. I thought it was an awful choice. I said walking to the voting booth, I think I went with my brother. I said, I hope Trump wins, just out of the humor of it.
Yeah.
But I'm voting for Hillary out of my own morals of like, we shouldn't have reality stars running the country.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing that the Trump presidency has done that maybe benefited us in any way, because I'm sure there are, you know, because it's more than him. It's not just Trump. There's other people involved. It's never just the one person. But I don't know. Biden sounds so fake, but I like him. So there's something about him that I like.
Yeah. See, I don't like him, but I mean, I get the appeal, right? Like
he looks creepy.
He does look creepy. So is that what we're doing now? Yeah, he's creepy.
He's
so
creepy.
I don't want him.
Yeah.
No. He to me, first of all, we kind of know he's bought out,
Right.
right? Like his healthcare stuff. It's
Right.
like obvious, right?
Yeah.
Like he's got some huge donors from some super PACs.
Oh yeah, he's a career politician.
For sure.
We should not make light of that at all.
So
He really is.
automatically,
Yeah.
like that precludes me from wanting to vote
Right,
for him.
right.
But secondly, because he's so, I mean, he's not even a centrist, right? I would consider him still kind of right. If he gets elected, what's going to happen, in my opinion, what I think would happen was you have this huge garnering of the left that's becoming pretty big. Left, I hate using these terms,
Yeah.
but for the sake of our short conversation, we have a pool of people that are getting more progressive, and we're hoping for some change. If Biden gets elected, he's not going to do shit. And
Well, he was against gay marriage.
yeah, I
until
mean, you can name it,
2010.
right? Like
Yeah.
his stuff on war, his stuff on guns, his stuff on healthcare, his stuff on. I mean, you could just. He's changed.
Right.
He's not going to get anything done, and I think people will lose their faith in the Democratic Party to be able to get anything done, and the pendulum will swing back, and we'll have more Trump-like figures in office because
Yeah.
we tried the Democrats again, they didn't do anything, and now we're left with going with the right.
But I kind of feel the same of Bernie.
Okay,
I
I'm curious to know. What do you think?
I think there's this aspect in politics where it's like it's all quid pro quo. You know, like I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine.
Yeah.
And I think Biden can maybe play that game well or better than Bernie, you know? And Bernie has all these great ideas, but those don't mean anything unless you have congressional and Senate support, you know? And I think Bernie is more progressive than the Congress and the senators. So I don't see a lot of his stuff being passed. And I think he's going to have to water a lot of it down just to get the support, you know? And I think
Are you saying you don't want that to happen?
I don't want that to happen because I think let's try it out, right? Let's try out this progressive idea.
Well, but I mean, I'm saying, would you rather have this watered down policy, or would you rather just not even try to go there?
I'd rather have the watered down policy, but I think it's gonna make a lot of people who initially supported Bernie look at him like a sellout. You know?
I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
I feel like he might be vocal about what the heck's happening, though.
Yeah, he might be.
I mean, like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this
Right.
comprehensive healthcare thing passed,
Yeah.
but bozos in
Right.
know the
And that-
congressional hearings or
I
whatever
think that's what we need.
are saying. Yeah, and I mean, he's doing it now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, did you watch the CNN debate where he's like, pharmaceutical companies are terrible. By the way, they're going to be having.
Yeah, they're going to be on the commercial.
They're going to
in
be
5
on.
minutes.
Yeah, they're going to be
Yeah.
advertising this debate.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already doing that.
Yeah, I mean he's the same character as Trump on the left,
Except
right?
he's got better ideas, right?
Right. Yeah, maybe, but I mean,
Better
like,
ideas. Sorry, I gotta say that louder.
in terms of the, in terms of just like the personality traits, they seem pretty similar. You know, they seem
Yeah.
pretty like I'm gonna say this because it's what I believe, and it's what I know to be the truth, and blah blah blah. And whether or not you view it as right or wrong, I think that's a lot of what we need right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
I don't know.
Do you yeah, I don't know how much you're keeping. Do you watch a lot of the politics stuff?
I
Are you
didn't
into-
see the last debates.
Well, not just the debates, but well, I'm sorry. I'll transition to like what's going on, like what Trump has been doing for policies.
I know a fair bit.
Have you? I know there was a lot of uproar
Mm-hmm.
on both sides about what he's trying to repeal the estate tax. Have you seen that?
I heard a little bit about that. Now I lose interest in terms of like things that don't immediately concern me.
Oh, see, that one does to me. That one scares
Yeah?
me a lot, actually.
Tell me about it. What's scary?
So I guess you have to go back to why it was created in the first
Uh-huh.
place. So I can't remember the years, probably late 1800s,
Right.
something like that. You had a family in the Hudson Valley who owned, I mean, like shitloads of acres. I mean, just imagine like 3 or 4 states
Right.
worth of land. And they owned all of the properties and all the homes, and they rented out to tenants. And as they kept dying, this family kept dying, they kept holding on to all this wealth. And as a result, there was like crazy rent prices to the point where there was a whole anti-rent movement. I mean, people were not being able to pay their rent, so they had to go to court.
Yeah.
And people would just straight up go to court and lock the judges out, like stab them with pitchforks. I mean, it was like a whole rebellion going
Dang.
on. In like you don't hear about this,
Right.
but it was a huge rebellion.
Right.
And so they all called for this estate tax to happen so that you wouldn't get these crazy accumulations of wealth where you have an aristocracy. I mean, it was to reduce the plutocracy. I mean, it was like really to do that. And what scares me is if we reduce this, we already have a guy in our country who has $135 billion. Yeah. Like, to put that in perspective, you would have to, just to get $1 billion, you have to save $50,000 a year, every year, for 200,000 years. So now, multiply that by 135. I mean, we have that guy who's now never going to have to pay estate taxes and wealth taxes when he dies. And his family is just going to begin to own everything. And there was a whole reason why we had that, to make sure power was held in the people and not the elite classes.
So
and
that
scares
concerns
me.
you. But my thing is like Jeff Bezos, right? That's who we're talking about.
Okay,
Okay. So he's $130 billionaire, right?
Yeah.
He's what, in his 50s?
I have no idea.
He seems he has life left.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I always think that, okay, if Trump repeals this estate tax or lowers it, you're saying not repeal? It'd be a lower of it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said repeal, yeah.
But if he lowers the estate tax, then this Jeff Bezos guy and his family and his great-great-grandchildren, they'll get away with so much, right? But it's like by the time he dies, someone else will come around and say, "Oh no, we shouldn't have done that. Let's redo it."
But it's not just Bezos, though, right? I mean, there's
people dying now,
more billionaires than that. I mean, every day there's more and more billionaires. So I mean, I think there's more to worry about than just him. I think he's just the poster child for that class of people.
Yeah, definitely he is.
So that does scare me because I think it's anti-democratic, and we always got to fight for it, and that's just one more like punch in the gut to democracy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that I just hate seeing things like that, and I don't get how it's like people who are never ever going to be affected by that tax. Are pissed off about it. Like, you make $40,000 a year. Why are you upset? About a tax where you have to have what, a $5 million, $11 million
Something
property?
Like that, yeah.
It's crazy,
just to
right?
qualify for it.
Just to qualify. And then you hear that. Have you ever heard the narrative that's like, well, some people buy a farm when they're in the 1920s, and then they want to sell it, 100 years later, and it's gained so much equity since then. They qualify for it. I'm like, they found one dude in Wisconsin that has that problem. And now they're making that as if that's what's happening in America, and it's going to ruin farmers across the country. And then people believe that shit. It's like, what is going on? Like, it blows my mind.
Yeah, no, I didn't know much about that at all.
Yeah, that's the narrative. If you turn on the news and someone's trying to fight for it to be lowered, that's what they'll use. It's paid for by some billionaire.
All right, Roger. So I have a random question for you now.
All right, shoot.
All right. Do you believe in aliens?
In aliens? I mean, you maybe have to define aliens. Like other sentient beings, or just like microscopic things.
I suppose like aliens. Yeah, if you want to classify them as sentient, then yeah. Do you know what sentient means?
Just like having reflective consciousness, right? No?
No, the definition is has the ability to suffer.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe
so I mean something beyond, something a little bit more complex than that, because a lot of animals have the ability to suffer. So
yeah.
I'd want to define maybe aliens higher, more complex than that. Maybe. So anyway, short answer, yes,
right.
I do.
Okay.
Only because I think it's a crazy amount of scientists. Like I want to say 99% of scientists through mathematical models are saying that. I mean, what is there, like 20 billion stars in our galaxy, and then there's some.
So they say this, right? They say there's 100 billion stars in every galaxy.
Oh, okay. So it's even bigger.
And there's at least 100 billion galaxies. And if the current models that people are predicting of the multiverse is correct, then there's at least 100 billion different universes, which contain 100 billion galaxies, which contain 100 billion stars.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, like, what's the number? We can only see things at 150.
Yeah.
And after 150, we get fuzzy.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know.
Yeah, it's inconceivable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't even think about it. And then what are they saying? Each one of those stars has a pretty similar looking solar system. Like, they each have planets that consist of rocky gas giants and the likes.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. So, like, inside of a galaxy, you have your solar system, like your star system. And those can differ. There's different classifications of stars. There's, I think there's 6. It's "Oh Be a Fine Girl, Kiss Me." That's the classification
of
it.
That one.
I believe we're K. So our star is K, and the distance we're in the Goldilocks zone, as they call it. And so, yeah, I mean, even if you had 100 billion of those, just 100 billion, right? Like, the chances are that another planet with some sort of hospitable atmosphere that's in the Goldilocks zone of their star system, the chances of that existing seem pretty likely.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to bet, right?
Right,
I'm betting that's out there.
100%.
It's crazy. I recently read about kind of the formation of our particular solar system and our planet.
Right.
And how we have life, and it is. I mean, are you into that at all? Have you read anything about that? I don't want to like bore you with details
about just like how
I think it's fascinating
how our solar system came to exist.
Yeah, and like how the process of Earth and
educate me. I don't know.
Okay, so it is actually super fascinating, and it does give a little bit of. Makes it feel a little bit more special to have sentience, I guess, on Earth.
Right.
Or maybe whatever reflective consciousness.
Sentience works, I think. I think that's a fair definition of, like, life that we should care about.
Okay.
That's
like
what
that.
I think.
I like that. Life that we should care about. Okay. We're not the only things that matter. Maybe we are.
Yeah, we are.
So you have, I'll save the super... the quantum level, because that's I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't think many people do,
does,
but
no.
yeah. So you have mass that's formed from like hydrogen and some other elements that have collided, and it radiates out energy, and then as the energy dies, the gravity that it's given, it condenses back onto itself, so that those particles are radiating, and then it loses energy, so the gravity condenses it, which then makes it more energized, radiating, and then it keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's the formation of the sun. Right. So it's a superconductor.
Right.
I mean, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, we have a fucking superconductor. And then it shot off particles into the air, and then those kind of accreted together, making our Earth. Well, and all the other planets. Well, through a series of accretion, which basically just means like particles that become increasingly larger are just like slamming down into a core, like at crazy speeds that are so hot that it's like molding together and forming the Earth. Well, we would never have life if a rocky substance like Mars didn't collide with us. So it hit us, and we sucked in like a third of its iron core.
Interesting.
And so we absorbed that iron core and then eventually kind of sunk down to the middle. Well, without the iron core, we would have never had volcanoes. Without volcanoes, we would have never shot shit into the air that made the greenhouse effect. And that greenhouse effect creates the ozone layer. So that protects us from radiation. But not the entire thing was absorbed, and we shot out a moon. And the moon keeps our... Most people think it's the tides that make it to where we have life, and that's kind of true, but it's really the gravitational force of the moon keeps us from not spinning a crazy fast amount of speed. And it's like the perfect rotation.
Interesting.
And usually you would have gas giants that are closer to the sun than what ours is currently, but for some reason we have Jupiter and Saturn, and what they're doing is they're protecting us from meteors hitting us. And
that's why they have belts.
Right? So we don't have... Like, we just are in this crazy prime condition.
It just worked.
And then we have been untouched for like 14 billion years. And
well,
I mean, you know,
we're touched every
we've
day.
been touched every now and then, right? But for the most part. We've been pretty left alone. But all that to say, when you think of times a trillion, there's got to be something else out there that's been a little untouched like us.
Yeah, when people say that it seems perfect, right? We seem the perfect distance. Well, yeah, it seems perfect because it worked for us. But that's not to say that another scenario possibly couldn't work for a different type of life.
Yeah. And so I do think that there are. Do you think that we've been visited?
Listen, there are very smart people that would say that we have, and I'm not them.
Okay.
You know, but it just doesn't make sense as to why we would be.
Okay.
You know, like, it's not like we could be very, very not advanced, but we can't look out and say, oh, yep, life there, we should go there, right? Like, anything beyond the moon is hard to even like look at the surface until you go there. You know, so it's like there's no way that we can tell that they have life unless there's a huge flag or we're getting some direct signals from there. You know,
so wait, what's your point in that?
So it'd seem virtually impossible unless it just doesn't seem likely that there are any other life forms that could just be cruising on through the universe. Right, at whatever part of the universe that they come from, and just stumble across our planet, unless they came from somewhere close, or unless our type of life comes directly from where they started, like something like that, maybe, you know. But
yeah,
I don't think we've been visited in the sense like we have grays walking around and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's hard to. I mean, right? Like, we don't know. I mean, I guess you can't. I guess that's why I said you think. Right? Yeah. To me, though, it's fascinating, and I don't know if I have an opinion, but the thing that most fascinates me about a possible visitation is to think about if it were to happen, then the level of cooperation that race or species had to have had to be able to travel. I mean, so
that distance.
Like right now, like we overcame. I mean, the most recent, we've overcome a lot, right, as a species, but recently we just got over, or still getting over nationalism. Like, a world war almost blew us all to hell, but we got over it.
Yeah.
Now we have other things like global warming and nuclear war that we are trying to figure out how to cooperate at such a level where we get past it and keep surviving.
Yeah.
Well, you would think that on any other given planet that has sentience, they are going to have to struggle with the same sorts of things, right? Like, if you're an organism, like, you're going to have competition and cooperation for resources. Like, because there's only limited resources.
Right, and you're going to have vulnerabilities. You know?
So, I can't say for a fact, but I would imagine that they would have some of the similar problems that we have.
Yeah.
So they've had to have cooperated to get over things like, it may not be global warming, but they're running out of resources, and people are doing something like that, or nationalism, tribes.
Well, they had to get over things that threaten their populations.
Yeah. And they did it to the point where they could travel at light speed to visit another planet. Yeah. So even if it hasn't happened, I like to think eschatologically, like from the future. And like if that's the goal, and we can envision that, then maybe having that goal in mind, we should be thinking about how we should conduct our lives and order our society in a way where we can envision a future that is like we can go other places. Like that's just cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds neat.
Neato.
Yeah, neato.
I know we talked a little bit about we dabbled in some politics. And a big thing that's kind of a fad right now is sort of, okay, you're not left and you're not right.
Right.
So what are you?
Yeah.
And because people don't want to be like, well, I'm not a liberal, right? But I'm not a Republican.
Yeah.
And then libertarian was a phase for like, what, I don't know, a few years back in 2014.
Yeah, the Tea Party movement.
Tea Party movement and did some something. And there's a big kind of fad one right now, anarcho-syndicalism.
Yeah, you're telling me about
word.
this.
And we don't have the time to really go into it because it's pretty, it's not something you talk about in 5 minutes and then and give it a whirl, I guess. But its origins are really interesting. And I just kind of wanted to let you know or talk about where, because it revolves around religion.
Uh-huh.
And it really started from a guy, and I'm probably wrong in the fact that its origin started here, but it really became popularized.
Okay.
A guy named Bakunin looked at Christianity and the freedom of man, and he, was against. Actually, before the anarcho-syndicalist stuff, maybe I'll put a little something else, and we'll get back to that. I think a lot of people look at the kind of Enlightenment period where we had these like monarchs and autocratic governments who are, they came from feudal systems, and then they, colonies, and they're just, all of that stuff. And they hated it. And that's why you had all the Enlightenment thinkers talking about sequestering state power, right? It was like, and that's why America is so great, right? Because we have a regulated government, because state power was, and they're right, the Louis of France and the Georges of Great Britain were terrible. The czars, right? It's bad, batshit crazy, and we would never have that today. And it was really good, and we did a lot of good stuff. But I think what happened, and we know this now, it's a fad. It transitioned to now all of the power comes from these businesses, and it's like people haven't, in my opinion, they have all these narratives of like, okay, you have John Locke talking about this, and Rousseau, and like, oh, this is great. And it's like these news media outlets are harping on this, especially the right. Like, oh, we can't make sure that the government gets powerful. That's why Sanders is scary, and all this liberal agenda is scary. But nobody's really like written or talked about the fact that the same exact problem that we stunted with state power is happening with corporate totalitarian power. And it's like we have this weird disconnect where we say these arguments against state power, but we go blind and forget to apply them to another sector that has the same amount of power that these autocratic governments ever had.
Yeah.
Do you see, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I think we have companies are looked at in terms of donations and contributions and supporting campaigns as individual people and citizens. So
Citizens United.
Yeah. So they can support however much money they want to whatever campaign, to whatever, right? And it's all behind the scenes. But then the loophole is that when they get fucked, they're not looked at as a person anymore. They're looked at as a company. So they get breaks and all this stuff. They get bailouts. And then if they were that individual citizen and held to the same standards, they'd be in prison, right? Just look at Bernie Madoff. He went to prison.
Yeah.
You can't put a company in prison.
Yeah.
But and the CEO doesn't suffer. The shareholders don't really suffer unless the company goes out of business.
Yep.
So it's like
we suffer though, yeah.
Yeah, we suffer, and it's the loophole.
I just don't get how people don't intuitively see the the connection. It's like we have all these great books that talk about we need to sequester state power, and it's like our minds shut off, and we don't agree. We don't believe that should apply to all systems of authority or power. And it blows my mind. I think all authority, no authority is self-legitimized. It has to be legitimized by the constituents of that nation or whatever.
Yeah, I think no one saw it coming.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think anyone saw the power of a big corporation, especially when you talk about in terms of the founding fathers and early 1800s when people were fighting to survive, and now we're fighting to thrive.
The only pushback I have to that is like, a lot of people think that Adam Smith was like this great, and I'm not docking Adam Smith here, but he was this great proponent of free markets. And in some sense he was, but people don't really read The Wealth of Nations. It's like an 800-page book.
Yeah.
They read like the intro that they get in like 10th grade social studies class.
Spark Notes.
Yeah, or that. Yeah. That's probably what the majority of people do. But I remember a lot, like, including myself, I read like the first 20 pages and thought I understood Adam Smith. Yeah. But if you get deep into his book, he basically says, humans abide by the vile maxim that everything for myself and nothing for anybody else, unless you have a welfare state, unless you have some sort of system in
Right.
place like this. Unless there's regulations, like he's going through this thing. I mean, he's not the first to say
Right,
that. Aristotle
right. Yeah,
actually was the first, but I guess I don't know. I'm just saying that. But I think he saw. Oh, and all that is. I'm sorry. My point in that was he directs that and he says the vile maxim of the merchants and manufacturers. And that's like
Right.
That's like the pre-financial institutions of today. That's like the pre-multinational corporations.
Yeah.
So I think they saw that they had power to do some stuff, like to make shit happen. I think I agree with you though. I don't think anybody saw $135 billion man coming around.
Yeah, I mean, it still doesn't make sense to us. So how would it possibly make sense to someone 300 years ago?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, dude, it's just so much money. It's more money than countries own, you know?
Yeah.
It's more money than their income.
He could buy a country.
He could buy multiple.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wild.
Yeah, dude, it's so nuts. And then you think of like all the stuff that the progressives are leaning towards in terms of student debt, student loan forgiveness, and free Medicare and all that stuff. He could just take it out of his pocket and not even lose sleep. You know, and he shouldn't have to. He is not the person that should have to bail out the country.
But just putting it in perspective.
But yeah, it's like he could do all of it.
Yeah, it blows my mind a little bit that people can be so wrapped up in things that to me seem like what.
Common sense.
Why are you? Yeah, first of all, common sense. But secondly, like there's just bigger. I've said this a lot. There's bigger fish to fry here. And I'm not saying that issue's not important, but you know, if we solve this economic thing, like these other things would follow. Like, I mean, on the Rogan podcast not that long ago, you quoted it himself. Like, Cornel West said, you know, let's get this. It's not about race here.
Right.
This is the class war, and let's remember this for what. Let's keep this in perspective here. Because I truly don't think the billionaire class is racist.
No.
I think that they employ racism to maintain their economic power structures.
Yeah, it's just a tool.
It's a tool,
But
and
it's
I think
not their main thing.
we get like fucking myopic with it all, and I think you lose sight of the things that are really going on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I mean, I think kind of Cornel West said it, but like I don't think you could even say it's racism because it doesn't matter what color you are, but everyone seems to be suffering from the class warfare, you know, unless you're the elites or unless you're the respectable middle to upper middle class, you know, who like you work, you have a family, you have a marriage, the white picket fence thing, very respectable, but everyone else seems to be getting sidechecked in this game, you know, and it doesn't matter where you come from or who you are. It's just,
I think more people are waking up because it's starting to affect sectors of the population that it historically wasn't. Right?
Yeah, well, it's affecting the white people now.
The white guy was okay for a long time, but now we're not doing as well as we were.
No.
And now I think people are getting actually angry, or the right people are getting angry. I mean, I don't say that like, we're not the right, but the people who are actually heard. And I think all of this comes, like, for me, the reason why I don't want to categorize myself in any political thing, but I do want to say I think a lot of people are going towards this. Anarchism has like a stigma about it. People should educate themselves. It's very ordered society. It's just a different way to look at politics. But the idea of questioning authority, that's all it is. Is like, hey, there's an authoritative structure here. Are you legitimate or not? If not, then we dismantle you. That's all it is. And it's only justified by the constituents. And it's interesting about religion is that's where it kind of first started, and it blew my mind. So you have the narrative. Do you know you're familiar with the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve?
Yeah, a little bit.
So they're in the garden, and Adam and Eve, they bite the fruit. Yeah. And because the apple, right? We talked about this. It wasn't an apple. Well, so you have God. He's this master, and he created everything, and he's supposed to be this all-loving kind of creature. But he puts a stipulation in place that says you're not supposed to eat from this thing. Keep taking away the freedom of man at this point. And the guy named Bakunin says Satan was the first free thinker. In the fact that he says, you know, take and eat whatever from this fruit and make your own choice. And what happens is God, the master, who wants these humans to worship him and all his desires, make him happy, lashes out, and he says, like a child, and not only curses them and Satan, but curses humanity forever for one mistake that they made. And it's very autocratic, right? Like, he is the master, and you disobeyed, so now I'm going to punish you. I'm bloodthirsty. I'm going to kill a bunch of people in the end because you didn't like obey my one arbitrary command. So really, there's this perspective of an anarchist that would say that, I mean, it sounds cultish, right? But like Satan was the hero of that story. So it's kind of a funny thing. I didn't know this until not that long ago, and it just kind of blew my mind that somebody came up with this argument because they were looking at the hierarchical structure of the Garden of Eden. I mean, that's just wild, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like,
Satan's the first free thinker.
Like, that's what he says. I mean,
that's
it's
so
just,
cool.
I mean, I'm not saying I agree or disagree.
Right.
I'm just saying I think that's very interesting.
All right, Rodger. Well, thank you for being here.
Yeah, man. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. We did over 2 hours.
Wow.
That's nuts,
That's
dude.
significant.
Yeah. We're planning for half an hour.
Yeah.
Isn't that
thanks
wild?
for keeping me, for pulling that out of me. That's a lot of fun.
I feel like there's a lot we didn't talk about, so you'll have to come back on.
You got to invite me back on.
Yeah, we'll talk about religion and more politics.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Take care.
Nice. That's something, man. 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Woo-woo.
That's nuts.
It felt like it did not go on that long.